everyone, it's Matt from Train Sim Society, and welcome back to the channel, or welcome if you're new. So Train Sim World 6 launched about 2 months ago, I think now. Since then, we've seen Birmingham to Crew release broken, and unfortunately stay broken. We've seen Santa Fe on Cajon Pass launch to mostly negative reviews. We've seen the Nuclear Pack from Skyhook Games release, and in my own personal opinion, meets the quality standards that you would expect from TSW6, but still suffers the occurring issue for gameplay packs in general, no matter who the developer is. It's just overpriced. Now, with all the content we've received for TSW6, all the different add-ons, these come from different developers, but share the same publisher with wildly different outcomes. So what's going on here? I think the answer is more troubling than just inconsistent quality control. We're looking at a pattern where Dovetail is selling content developed for TSW5, rebranding it as TSW6 content, and releasing it without properly implementing the features they spent months hyping up. And when that content ships broken, they keep selling it at full price while promising fixes that may or may not come. So let me start with Birmingham to Crew, because we now have confirmation of something I covered as a rumor in my root review. So a team member from All Aboard Studios posted on Facebook addressing the root's issues. In that post, they stated this was originally a TSW5 release and was completed in time for TSW5. However, was delayed simply due to finding a slot. Therefore, this root has been completed and finished since June and submitted to QA in June. So Birmingham to Crew was finished for TSW5. The root launched on October 21st for TSW6 4 months later, broken. So we received a couple of patches for this root and others. Dovetail pushed a hotfix on October 28th for memory issues and crashing. They rolled out another update for train faults and announcements. The November roadmap promised more improvements, and we're now in late November, over a month past a launch, and the forum threads are still asking if this root has been fixed yet. Now, in some older forum posts, the All Aboard Studios team said once the builds are submitted, they are completely out of our hands. Now, look, I understand third-party developers might not have had early access to new features like announcements and train faults, and that's a fair point. If All Aboard Studios didn't have the documentation or tools to implement those features back when they were building this route, that's not on them. But here's the thing, once they submitted it in June, Dovetail had 4 months. 4 months to add those features themselves during integration. 4 months to test it properly on consoles. 4 months to make sure it actually worked and functioned properly and was meeting suitable release standards. Again, that's Dovetail's job as the publisher. When a third party gives you finished content, you integrate it into your new platform properly, and that clearly didn't happen here with multiple add-ons. Now, to be fair, Dovetail has announced an update coming in December that promises more fixes for Birmingham to Crew, along with improvements to other areas of the game. So fixes are coming, but we're talking about waiting more than a month, potentially 2 months by the time December rolls around, for a product to reach acceptable standards, and that itself is unacceptable. You shouldn't have to wait multiple months for a DLC you paid full price for to work properly. Now, one of the All Aboard Studios developers, Kez, posted in the forums back in late October explaining some of the technical issues. This isn't new information, but it is worth revisiting because it exposes the structural problems that still haven't been addressed. They mentioned that console testing isn't available during development. They could only test on PC. It's only after certification passes that they can test on console. That's a structural problem with Dovetail's development process. Kez also mentioned the debugging tools don't work properly. AI signal issues can't be detected by the dev tools, so they'd have to manually watch a 24-hour timetable to catch those problems. These are platform level failures. When your third-party developers can't test on the target hardware and can't debug issues with the tools you provide, you're setting them up to ship broken content. Now, this pattern extends beyond Birmingham to Crew. TSW TSW6 was marketed heavily on 3 new core features. So far, we've had 4 DLC releases for TSW6. Only one of them contains all 3 new core features. Now, the other 3, they're all gameplay packs for older roots, but they really don't have much of anything that Dovetail has spent so much time hyping up. Now, let me be specific. Santa Fe on Cajon Pass, $18 for reskinned locomotives, no train faults. The nuclear pack from Skyhook Games, no train faults. The Class 142 Pacer pack that just released, no train faults here as well. These are TSW6 exclusive purchases. You can't buy them for TSW5, but they don't have TSW6 features. And it doesn't help that with these gameplay packs, they're literally reselling a train they've already sold and are marketing it with improvements. So not including the new core features where applicable as part of those improvements is just diabolical to me. Now, this forum user raised the question about when we'll start seeing TSW6 content with all the features that were hyped up during the build to launch. They pointed out what multiple forum users have noticed. The TFW Pacer pack was apparently handed to Dovetail back in June, but had to wait for its turn in testing. So forum users and community members are beginning to connect the dots. Everything in TSW6 so far, excluding the 3 core routes, has been TSW5 content. Now, speaking more in terms of optimization, with Birmingham to Crew aside, the Class 142 Pacer pack just released and players on Gen 9 consoles are reporting the same blurry texture issues. I have seen so many posts on the forums and on social media saying that they're done buying content until this is fixed. Another gameplay pack, another timetable, same old problem. It really doesn't matter what kind of content it is. If they're giving us a pretty big route or a decent sized timetable, or even just a small pack that adds to an already extensive timetable, I'm thinking from this point forward until something is done, we are going to be seeing this blurry texture issue continue. But now I want to talk about the Santa Fe on Cajon Pass pack because it definitely fits the pattern here. So High Iron Simulations released this gameplay pack on November 13th for $18 US. It's reskin locomotives from the existing CSX models with Santa Fe liveries. The C48W and SD40-2 in Warbonic colors, plus some freight cars. On Steam right now, it has 13 reviews and 23% of them are positive. But here's something interesting about this release. There was no preview stream. Usually when Dovetail has content coming out, they do a preview stream to show it off. Santa Fe on Cajon Pass didn't get one. Now, it is possible it didn't get a stream because it's a smaller gameplay pack, but the Class 142 TFW Pacer pack got one, so I'm not sure I can give them the benefit of the doubt here. And also notice how ambassadors are showing off all this new content early on PC only. I think that's worth thinking about. PC is extremely unlikely to run into blurry texture issues. You probably wouldn't want to promote new content loaded with potential blurry textures to customers you're trying to sell something to. The issues tons of folks are reporting include low resolution textures, cabs that are unchanged from the CSX versions. Even though these are supposed to be 1990 Santa Fe locomotives, you're looking at period equipment with interiors that aren't period specific to Santa Fe for that time. Forum threads document speed limits not displaying correctly in the HUD. I've run into this issue so many times. I do believe it's tied to the route itself, but still, again, if you're going back to update stock and add to a route and put out DLC for a DLC, you need to be updating and fixing problems with that string of DLCs attached. It's just yet another release that feels under-tested or rushed. This brings us to the platform problem. Dovetail positions TSW as a platform. They market it that way. They've built an entire business model around third-party developers creating content for it. When Kez says they can only test on PC during development and console testing only happens after certification, when he says the debugging tools can't detect AI signal issues, there you go, that's the platform failure. And when and Birmingham to Crew was submitted in June and still launched broken in October and continues to be broken late November going into Christmas, boom, that's your example of quality control failure. And then lastly, when the same blurry texture issue appears in brand new content months later, that is our core systemic failure. So what we're doing now, it is not working. And I think they realize that, but I don't think they want to bluntly admit it. They're sort of casually acknowledging it while trying to sweep it under the rug and still releasing half-baked DLC and charging you full price for it while they're at it. The accountability problem here is clear. When Birmingham to Crew launches broken, All Aboard Studios' name is on the store page. They take the reputational hit in reviews and on the forums, but Dovetail approved it. Dovetail's QA certified it was ready. Dovetail failed to provide console testing during development. Dovetail failed to properly integrate announcements. Dovetail failed to fix performance issues they had months to address. And Dovetail continues to profit from every sale at full price. Do you see the pattern? The developer's name is on the storefront, but the publisher approved everything that went wrong. And it lets Dovetail distance themselves from quality problems they had the power and responsibility to prevent. Now, I want to talk about Brandon, who goes by Cactus Juice within the community. He has been the signaling expert for US routes in TSW. He's responsible for the signaling systems on the Morristown line, which is our latest US route, Long Island Railroad commuter, and other US content as well, like Boston to Worcester and Boston to Providence. But after he finishes the Northeast Corridor New York to Stamford, which is an upcoming route, he is done with TSW. In his own words, posted earlier this month, after Stamford, I'm done. When asked why, he explained, I'm sick of doing this for a company whose full-time employees won't put as much effort in as me doing this part-time. I made this decision after Morristown. When someone with that level of specialized expertise decides that it is not worth continuing, that is a warning sign about the development environment and what is being prioritized. I mean, we're seeing it on the outside as players, as paying customers, as fans who love and support this game and want it to be better, but the fact that it's coming internally from people who are directly working on official content, whether they're DTG employees or not, is very telling, and it's very sad. Of course, I want the best for Brandon. I definitely want him to make whatever decision he wants and whatever he is comfortable with and what benefits him the most. I don't think this is a time to be selfish and beg for him to stay, but I really wanted to cover this because this is the wake-up call right here. And I was gonna make a whole video just centered around, Brandon leaving, but I wanted to tie that into a much bigger discussion because so many people are trying to play off what is happening with this game, and they're trying to say that, oh, TSW is completely fine, people are blowing it out of proportion. But I think a lot of folks are just in denial, and all of what I just explained is the evidence of this reality. And all of this connects back to the annual release cycle, which I feel like I give way too much airtime to. Dovetail commits to launching a new TSW version every year. They fill roadmaps with regular content releases, they market new features, but when you look at what's actually shipping, it's mostly content developed for the previous version, held back to fill the new version's launch window, and released without the new version's features properly implemented. We've seen this time and time again. Faults, announcements, guard mode, suspension physics, and all of this is stuff that the community has been very vocal about for many years. I mean, go to the forums. There are so many threads talking about all of these things constantly being created or resurfacing from years ago. People would rather have fewer releases that work properly than constant releases that need patches. So let's talk about Candace. Dovetail recently brought her on as a US community manager, I think. She's been active on the forums, not just in US content threads, but also gathering feedback across the board. She's starting discussions and asking what players want to see and engaging with the community about issues, and she really does seem interested in understanding what players need and what the community wants. But my concerns are valid given everything we've covered. Transparency is valuable. Collecting feedback and better communication information are both valuable as well, but none of that fixes the structural problems causing these issues. You know, Candace can collect all the feedback in the world about Birmingham to Crew still being broken. She can document every complaint about missing TSW6 features. She can relay frustrations about blurry textures continuing in new content. But if Dovetail doesn't change how they develop content, how they test it, and how they integrate TSW5 work into TSW6, and how they prioritize release schedules over quality, then we're just getting better communication about the same problem. It doesn't actually fix the problem. Now, Candace is new to this role. She's trying to do right by the community, and none of this is her fault whatsoever. She has been very, very nice to everyone on the forums, but she works for Dovetail, and these issues didn't start when she arrived. My concern is that hiring a community manager creates the appearance of change without requiring actual change. It signals that you're listening and responding, but listening to problems and fixing the systems that cause them are very different things. Now, in regards to the annual releases, Dovetail, listen to me, I know you do this to bring in new players and expand the game, but is all of that worth burning those new players the same way that you've burned your loyal customers all these years? I get that a company wants to grow and expand so they can make more money and do more things, but we all know the inevitable. You're going to burn them the same way you've burned us and continue to burn us. But our problem is consistency and accountability. When some content ships broken and some ships working, when some includes advertised features and some doesn't, when some gets proper testing and some doesn't. The common factor is the publisher's quality control and development process. Whether Dovetail will change these processes remains to be seen. I know I'm not holding my breath, but until they do, expect more of the same. More gameplay packs without core features and more TSW5 content rebranded as new releases, more promises of fixes that may or may not materialize, more talented contributors walking away because the environment doesn't support quality work. So to wrap things up, if you've been dealing with these issues on Birmingham to Crew, or if you've seen the quality with some of our recent add-ons, definitely drop a comment below and share your thoughts and experiences. Have the most recent patches fixed anything for you, or are you still running into issues, and are you experiencing the blurry textures issue? That's gonna be it from me for this video. As always, thank you so much for watching. Take care and happy rail simming, guys.